Alright guys, so in my retirement account, my Roth IRA, I'm kind of running a different strategy. I ported this over back in, wow, it's almost been a year now, back in May 2024. And ever since then, I'm actually up 43%. So awesome, glad something's actually working well for me. So this used to be my put selling account. I used to just sell puts, and now I should probably go back to selling puts because this isn't looking too hot. All right, so we're kind of back at all-time highs. We're around like 2,000 away from all-time highs. But recently, I've been trying to shift my strategy. So before, I don't know if I can show you the history of just this account, but before I was holding a lot of NVDL, but as you can see, I've been accumulating more MSTY, which is a whole nother video if you want to explain MSTY, but it's like covered call strategy built into like a ETF stock type of thing. So the big boys, they'll sell covered calls against MSTR, which itself just holds Bitcoin. So the underlying of all this is just Bitcoin. You're selling calls against Bitcoin, kind of. All right, so I went from a 2x leverage NVIDIA play to selling calls against Bitcoin. All right, so this thing does pay out, I want to say roughly like 5 to 10% a month, which is huge. 5-10% a month, that's like 60%. If it's 5% a month, it's still 60% a year. If it's 10% a month, it's 120. So if you go in the middle, that's 75% a year in gains. And since this is in a Roth IRA, none of those gains are taxed. That's why I'm running this strategy. No tax gains. All right, so the main question is I have 30K, and right now this position is like, what is this worth? I only have 10K here, so I'm trying to sell calls to get out of this NVDL position. And then, sorry to the boys over at After Hours, I will be dumping this too. I'll be selling calls against these two to get out. So selling calls is like you pick a strike. Let's say it's like, right now is at 51. Kind of just dipped, like I was selling calls here. Anyways, but if you're like selling, let's say you want to get out like here at 55. So you're sell like the 55 strike, you could collect like a $200-300 premium on it, and then you'll be assigned on your calls. You take away your shares, to give you the cash back, which I should be getting back today. But yeah, there you go. Unsettled funds still have 10K there. So you get your money back, and then NVDL, and then you want to sell them for, current price, let's say, is at like 51, just 51. All right, current price is 51. You want to sell them at, like 55. All right, so you would do a sell call at the 55 strike. All right, and then you could put the expiration to like June 13th or whatever, right? Cool. So then you collect like a premium. Let's say it's like $3 per share. So that's times 100 shares. You only do this in lots of 100, equals an extra $300. So just for waiting a month to assign or to like sell your shares at 55, you essentially made another $300 right there. So this is what we call a premium. And yeah, so you just set one of these up. If the price goes above 55, you still make 55 minus 51 gives you like a 4 times 100. Everything's in lots of 100 shares, so just keep that in mind. This is like $400 just on a capital gains alone, plus the extra 300. So now you're up like $700. Whereas if you just sold at 55, you would have only gotten the $400, right? So you're collecting this extra premium down here of $300 for waiting and selling a call against it to get it out that way. So in actuality, you'll be actually selling 50. What is that? $758 because you sold that call. But I don't want to confuse you guys too much. So that's what I'm essentially doing, and All right, let me just scroll down here. So I'm trying to get into MSTY using the reverse. There we go. Okay, let me just zoom in. All right, so for MSTY, I'm using something called cash secured put to get into these, or CSP for short. All right, so in order to get out of a stock, you sell calls. In order to get into a stock, you sell puts. Sell puts. So let's say the price of MSTY is like 21.50 right now, and then they pay you like a 50-cent premium to, you sell a call to get a 50% premium at this strike. Let's say you want to get in quick, so it's like expiration date June. What is it? June 6th. Yeah, June 6th. June 6th. Devil's number 66. All right. So you get paid 50 cents, to get in. So in order to do this, you need $2,150 because remember everything is times 100, and then in order they pay you 50 cents times 100, they pay you $50. All right, so you try to get in at 21.50, and then you want to pay the $50. Well, they pay you the $50 for taking the risk off for them. So at the end of the day, if the price is below 21.50, you get assigned 100 shares at 21.50. But remember, you also collected this dang $50 premium right here, so now you gotta bring that down, and it's 50 cents per contract, so your assigned is actually only at 21. So just by selling these options, you kind of bring down your cost basis a little bit. But the other side of the risk is that the price can decrease below 21.50. You know what I mean? So if the price goes below 21.50, you're kind of screwed because you got to buy at 21.50. That's kind of like the downside of doing it like that. Yeah, but it is a great way to just kind of slowly add your money into MSTY in case Bitcoin tanks. I could do a whole nother separate video about MSTY. Let me know if you guys want that in the comments down below. Let me just get back to this. So yeah, that's what we're doing. We're building a position at MSTY. This stock, I guess. Like, what the heck is it? Why I like this stock? All right, MSTY right now is 21.55 dividend amount. The last one was 2.37. That was like a really good one, but I don't think it's gonna be that high going forward. Let's just average it down to like 1.5. 4 weeks dividend growth 0. Let's just put it at 0. Share price growth, let's just put it at negative 10%. All right, 0. Thing compounds monthly for 5. If you run the math at the end of year 1 with $10,000, there's at a nerf dividend. I can nerf it even harder. It's like $1, which it hasn't paid below $1 in quite a while. So this is like ultra nerfed. Yeah, there you go. So starting at 10,000, and if you reinvest it every month they pay you, you'll still end up at 16,000. That's like 60% gains. Just doing this for like 1 or 2 months, you already beat the S&P 500, tax free too. So after 5 years, your $10,000 eventually will turn into $200,000. I don't know. I think it's worth the risk. And this is at a pretty conservative, you could even put like dividend growth rate to like 20%. And you could put share price growth to like, I don't know, another 30%. And it'll still net you pretty, like, this is like 40%. It's still 40%, even with all these like really bad assumptions. I think you gotta pump this down to like 50% and negative 50%. And then if the thing craters to 50% and then the dividend stops paying out by 50%, you're still getting 26% yields. That was like a really good year on S&P 500 from 2024. And then everyone was like clapping their balls off and shit for 27%. You're getting an extremely bearish scenario for 26%. So anything a little bit better than that, then you'll have like a freaking awesome like year. All right, so if it's kind of this math kind of breaks down when you keep reinvesting, and then it reaches 10,000 again in 5 years. But that's like at one point you gotta try to pull out or something when it like really starts to degrade down here. But I highly don't think that it's gonna keep degrading at 20-50% a year. So I think a more conservative approach and a more accurate approach, what I'm trying to say is that even the most bearish approach to this MSTY still beats the S&P 500 on a good day. So put whatever money you can afford to lose into it. I guess that's what I'm saying. It's a good, decent bet. That's what I'm doing with my money, at least. I'm gonna start generating shares of MSTY, and then I'm gonna start dripping them, and then maybe I'll get some more shares in NVDY and or PLTY. Maybe I could do like a 3-fund thing. I still haven't decided whether I'm gonna start with 3 funds and then have them churn out the money, or I'm gonna go all in on MSTY and have that pay out the other 2. Haven't done that. I gotta check with Reddit, maybe run the research. But yeah, that's all, folks.